Hey everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Squirrel Nut Zip Zap, what are you doing? Nice, there she is. Professional. It's getting on that time of year. She knows it's time to get back to work. Karma Chameleon, good to see you. Mother Bird, what's happening? Shelly Kelly, hope you're doing all right. Diddy Razzle Dazzle. Hey, Jason P. Wielding the wrench. Did I say Mother Bird? Mother Bird, how are you? Yeah, James Collins cares. What are you doing? People, normally when I do the night yard thing, normally I got at least one guest, and of late I've been having two guests. Next week I will be back to guests. Unfortunately, both of them had to cancel this week, so I am going to be braving the prison yard alone. Actually, you know what? I've got on orange, which means I probably would have been locked up in the shoe. You don't walk the yard in orange. Ian Wallace, how are you? Bill Herrera, good to see you. Bliss and Zoe, what's happening? Oh, you doing all right? So I'm oranged up, people. I'm oranged up. But if you have any questions, you know the drill. If you've never been here before, you put 3 Qs. That helps. Or you write question, but you do something so that I can see that it is a question on account of the fact that I'm not very bright, right? So you got to make this easy. You got to make this so it's hard to miss. Hello, Incarnasoul. How are you? Good to see you. Every once in a while, I just want to throw one of those up. Say, hey, how are you? I don't know where Johnny Scoville is because you would have got a kick out of that. Kristen Melinda, how are you? Good to see you. Putting the kiddo to bed? Has he flooded anything today? If you guys missed the last show, apparently her little terror decided to flood the bathroom, which I think is just awesome. It's just awesome. Mindy Sue who? Good to see you. I think that is just awesome. I'm sorry. I know it's always awesome when it's somebody else's bathroom. You know what I mean? Somebody else's kid. I remember Spanky thinking that the toilet was like a magic trick. If you just put stuff in it, it disappeared. I'd had some trouble with that. It is what it is. Laura Lou, good to see you. Yeah, it's fun though. Fun stuff. Yeah, squirrels in the basket. I'm feeling very happy. Do you know what I did today, people? I put up a Christmas tree. That's right. I put up a Christmas tree. Feeling pretty saucy about it too. It's a process, man. It really is. It's a big, huge process. I'll post a picture of it though, over on the the thing with the over on Meta, over on Facebook, the Lifeboat group page on Facebook. Chaos, good to see you. Kit Kat, what's happening? Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Sorry, peeps. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. I really am. Holly Smith, good to see you. You like Christmas for as long as possible? I'm starting to get back into the swing of it. Hey, Joseph, glad you're here. Good to see you, man. I really am. I'm getting a little bit more into the spirit of it. Listen, Zoe says, I brought the Christmas tree out on the weekend. My orange cat proceeded to chew on it. Well, of course. Cookie, good to see you. Matty Banana, so Squirrel, I adopted Squirrel right at this time of year, right? So Squirrel gets really into the whole process. I'm not joking. It's for her, it's kind of a big deal. When the tree comes out, she gets all excited and sprints around the house destroying stuff. It's pretty cool to watch. It really is. It's like Zoomy mode for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? It's like Zoomy mode for weeks. Does Squirrel Nut Zipper like catnip? Oh, yeah. Grew some nice plants this year for my cat owner friends. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, you grow it. That's the coolest thing ever. Yeah, she's a fan. She's absolutely a fan. We got to keep her in check. You know how it is. You know, she comes from a long line of addicts. Just Joan, good to see you. I'm kidding, but she does really dig it. Happy Phantom, how are you? Hey, Batters. Fancy face. Good to see you. How do you adjust to life outside after being released from a long sentence? Hey, Tony Suter, good to see you. Rick Spicer, how are you? Nana of 2. That's a great question, and I think everybody does it a little bit different. Kim is blue. I think everyone does it a little different. For me, I did it wrong twice, and then this last time I did it right. I thought in the first 2 times that I could keep like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, right? Like hokey pokey style. But no joke, that was my problem, is that I was fairly convinced that I could hang out with the same people, kind of go to the same places, as long as, I'm not using. What difference does it make? And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. You have to create a new life. I mean, honestly, you have to create a new life. And for me, that meant from the ground up. And I don't regret it for a second. I really don't. And it's been exciting every step of the way. But I think you have to make a fresh start, and you have to keep yourself really accountable, right? Short accounts with yourself. I had lists of things this time. The previous times I got out and I had no rudder whatsoever. This time when I got out, I had lists of things that I had been doing for years, every single morning, right? Inside, sober, getting up and doing my stuff. And I just did it in much more comfortable surroundings when I got out. But it was the same thing all along the way. So when I was in the halfway house, which is in Oakland, I was doing it there too. I was getting up, doing the exact same routine. Cookie, good to see you. And honestly, I was blown away by the number of cats that got up in the morning and did their prison routine, right? They got up in the morning and continued to do it. And I'm not kidding. You could look around the place and go, all right, that dude's got a chance. Like, that dude's got a chance. And the people that were sleeping till noon and just sort of, just sort of going their own, going to the lazy mode. A lot of people who said, no Russ tonight. Russ is salting. Yeah, salting. You know what I mean? He's out there dumping salt on the roads. Which is, I'm so glad I don't mess with snow anymore, man. I'm so glad I don't mess with snow. I mean, it makes Christmas a lot more fun to look at, but I don't think I can handle it anymore. Really. Laura Lou says, mornings are the hardest time to be disciplined. You know something? I think a lot of people feel this way. Bruce, I am not a twin, but I get that a lot, man. Yeah, he sounds like me too. We're definitely... I don't think anybody doubts that we're brothers, to be sure. But and we used to get that all the time. Before he had the stuff on his grill, we really got it a lot. You know what I mean? 30 days off smokes today. Wow, good stuff. And a little harm reduction on the vino. You know what? Hard to feel proud. You should. You absolutely should feel proud, man. You have all of us to blame. I like the way you worded that. The participation trophy of the lifeboat, the official participation trophy of the lifeboat. Carbon Chameleon, proud of you. Honestly, and you should be proud of yourself, for the love of God. That's huge. Zal Storm, what's happening? We're approaching that 1 month mark. Oh man, I'd be so stoked. I'd be so stoked. You stop with the weeks, start with the months. You still do weeks up until about 12. But that's still exciting stuff. And this is Dennis. How are you, man? Good to see you. This is a big deal because they're killers, man. They really are. Cigarettes are killers. If you can cut those out of your life. And the other great thing about smokes, if you can cut those out of your life, nothing bounces back like lungs. Honest to God. You think, oh man, I beat on my lungs. I really worked them over. I remember when I was quitting. The last years that I was abusing opiates, it was tar, and I smoked it. I smoked it. Incessantly, and it was off of tin foil, and it just can't be good for your lungs. It's really, really a hot burn. It's just kind of nasty, man. Dennis, I'm happy to see you, brother. Happy to see you. Laura Lou says, I stopped taking Tylenol PM every night. I love it, man. I really do. Anything that we can do to make yourself healthier. Don't get it messed up. However, do not get it messed up. Hey, Heather Rhodes, if you're out there and you're taking opiates because of because you're on chronic pain management, there are a lot of people who will write in and say, I really want to quit this stuff. If you just want to quit it because you want to quit it, I'm not sure that that's such a great reason, honestly. If you need it so that you're not in pain, then don't feel guilty for it. Lumen, good to see you. Jane Aldrich, how are you? My thing has always been this. If you can follow the instructions on the side of the pill bottle, yeah? So if on the side of the pill bottle it says, take 2 of these every 3 hours, or it says whatever's written there. If you can follow that, then you're probably not in trouble. I've never met addicts, right, that could follow that. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. We progress. Addicts progress viciously. If you're not treating pain, but you're treating spiritual pain and all of that stuff, then you'll absolutely be, you'll be hauling ass to a much bigger habit. It's just kind of how it runs. You know what I mean? There's no getting around that. It's tolerance building, and tolerance building with opiates is absolutely brutal. You got 17 years off of the black? Wow. I'm sorry that it took an OD, man. I really am. But you know something? You know how many people I know, Bruce? You know how many people I know that have seen dozens of people that they lost that way? I mean, I know guys that lost relatives that way and can't get off. So God bless you, man. 17 years. That's epic. That really is. That's epic. I love that, man. I love that. But when you quit, when I got off the smoke, when I stopped smoking the stuff, my lungs bounced back so damn fast. It was incredible. It really was. And I remember getting a chest x-ray and being so frightened because I smoked everything, you know, it was tar and crack and meth. I mean, I was a dumpster for dope for a really long time. Fancy Face, the nurse who loved me. Good to see you. How are you? Nana? Kirsten, how you been? Glad you're here. Yeah, Bruce, that's epic, man. 17 years. You got to love that. And I'll tell you something, folks. Tar's a rugged substance to get off of. Monk. Our friend, Monk, is here. Glad you're here, bud. That's such a beautiful thing. When I started out this channel, my goal was to have a place where people could come and kind of celebrate those victories. Because a lot of times when you tell people in the real world, right, that have never had a problem, that, hey, man, I'm a month sober, they look at you like, yeah, well, I've been that cat my entire life, right? Why do you even need to work at that? So you've been a loser for how long? And now you've been good for a month. There are people that just don't get it. And it's kind of pointless to try to make them get it. Michelle Smokes, good to see you. But I wanted a place where people could come and celebrate victories, because the smaller they are, the more epic they are, right? That first day is a bitch, isn't it? That first day is tough. The first 72 hours are incredible. And it's so exciting to hear somebody say they got 17 years, but the person that's got 17 hours is just as friggin' exciting. It really is, It's good stuff. Yeah, Fancy Face. Yeah. Congratulations, Bruce. A lot of people are seeing that for what it is, man. That really is good stuff. It's really good stuff. I get really fired up. And when I started to build this, the other goal was I wanted everyone to see that addicts were just as good as everybody else. That we weren't disturbed people because we had this particular disease. Didn't make us less than. And I hate to say it, but the longer I do this, the more I start to realize that, in all honesty, the people that make it out of addiction, right? The people that pop out on the other side of that tend to be some of the most accepting, non-judgmental people on planet Earth, And I don't know. I couldn't be happier with the kind of people that I kick it with. It's got a great audience. Every time people show up here, they're always freaking out. I get so many emails about you guys, for real, about so accepting and welcoming the boat is. It's a beautiful thing. Happy Phantom, what's happening? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good day. Barbara Aldrich, yeah, something. I don't know how late you are. Takes about 25 minutes, honestly, to get one of these things really up and running. You know how it is with big boats. You know what I mean? God forbid we got to turn this puppy around. True to It Connections. How are you? You know what? Methadone twice. Yeah, for a lot of people, man. For a lot of people, like I've said, methadone is. I mean, I don't badmouth any substance that people use to get off of smack, because anything is better than smack. But that's a tough drug. I did a lot of that too. And it really does lock you the hell in. You know what I mean? Yeah, about 2%. 2% of men and 1% of women It's like 98% of men and 99% of women don't make it out of it. So, but you know something? I say this all the time. It takes a friggin' miracle to get off of that stuff, you know? But miracles are a dime a dozen. I promise you. Miracles are a dime a dozen. I see them every single freaking day, you know? Absolutely every day. You know what? Happy Phantom. My night's not going bad. It's off to a fairly decent start. My throat feels a lot better than it did yesterday. I was starting to hurt yesterday, so I backed off a little bit today. Lisa Trimble, how are you? Good to see you. I backed off a notch today. Did a little bit less work on the old back of the throat. Whistler Blackcomb. The first time I went to Whistler, you had to hike an unbelievable distance to get up to where the lifts were. I remember being really bummed out by that because I was great. I mean, I skied moguls. So in the summer, there were a lot of mogul camps up there in Whistler. And I'm good for like 30 seconds of energy, right? A 30-second run. For those 30 seconds, I'm hell on wheels, man. Like I am hell on wheels. Trouble is, I wasn't really in a good enough shape for anything more than that. Arlie, how are you? Kestrel, doing all right? Doing all right? Yeah, Dennis, I have no doubt, my man. I have no doubt you'll get this, right? You don't get judged by how many times you get knocked down, right? You just got to get up one more time than you get knocked down. It's kind of the entire deal. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, that's a big deal, man. It really is. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. But I promise you that those numbers sound depressing as hell when you hear them. But they're a dime a dozen, man. Those miracles, they just keep coming. They just keep coming. You're better on a board? There you go. I did a lot of snowboarding too, but I snowboarded after hurting myself in a messed up way, where standing sideways on a board was no problem, but putting my feet forward was really uncomfortable. So for a year, I needed to kind of back off a little bit. Tommy, do you think you were already an adrenaline addict with skis? Oh yeah, I did a lot of really, really stupid things on skis. I mean, epically stupid things on skis. And I probably had a bit of I wanted so bad for people to think I was cool that I probably did things that were way past my skill set. I was always doing really stupid things, man. Jason P, congratulations on your sobriety, right? And I am glad you're here as well. He's a absolutely important part of this rig. He's and one of the best mods of all time. Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd symbolizes drug use. Okay. Yes, it absolutely does. But you might feel a little sick. Absolutely it is. That is a song that no two ways about it. It most assuredly is. You know, the Whistler Blackcomb, the Johnny Mosler, the kid that won the he won a gold medal for the United States. He was on the cover of Wheeze and all that. He was a grom. He was a little kid up at training camps in Whistler. First time I went up there, he was there, and he was just a youngster. You know what, Bruce? Here's the thing. You know something? You get this a lot. There are a lot of people that don't like the word recovering. I'll tell you what, man. You never say never. I'm never doing that crap again. It's never going to be a needle in my arm again for any reason. It's never going to happen. I don't have a problem saying that. You know, I hit an epic shift in how I view things, and there's just no way in hell it would ever happen again, right? It couldn't. It couldn't. I've seen way too much now. You know what I mean? I've talked to way too many people. I've seen way, way too much. Kit Kat says, you may feel a little sick, saved me from H. You know, I shouldn't say this because the last thing in the world that I wanted to do, I would never want to, but I never once got sick. How's that? Truthfully, I never once got sick. The only time I ever got sick on an opiate was after a surgery, and they gave me morphine. And the second they gave me the morphine, I guess I had said a lot of really nasty stuff to this nurse right before I went out on the surgery. I wasn't very nice, and she said to me, "This is morphine. It'll take away all the pain." And I went, thank you." Right after surgery, and she said, "And this is Dilaudid. It might make you sick." And it's like there was no reason to give me another one. There just wasn't. Gaslit, how are you? Wharton Thistle, and they're not a great combo. Even if I don't care if you are a dyed in the wool like junkie, that's just not a combo that goes well one on top of the other. And I just immediately blew chunks. And the trouble was, I mean, the worst part of it was the surgery was on my throat. I had just had my tonsils removed, which most people do when they're 6 or 7 years old. I waited a few years, and they say each year after about 15 or 16, you're really in trouble. Like it just gets progressively worse and progressively worse. At 30, I'll tell you what, 30, 2 days after or 2 days before Christmas. Paula Pendley, good to see you. I did it on the 23rd of December. And you talk about a miserable Christmas, man. It was awful. Yeah, Dan C. I think it was just to be cruel. I don't know what I said to her. I really don't. But yeah, all bad. All bad. Yeah, well, here's the thing with my tonsils. So when they took them out, you could see where they had to burn to get it to stop the cauterizing. It was that long and it was that wide. Like these puppies were attached, not like other people's. Robert Hall, how are you? This was really bad, man. It really was. I said to the guy, "Hey, can you take them home? Like, can I get those in a bottle?" He goes, "Hey, no, man, we don't do that anymore at all." He's like, we don't allow flesh to leave, anything human to leave a hospital ever again. Like that was done years ago. He said it's not done at all anymore. He said, and even if we could, I'm keeping these puppies. He's like, I'll win bets with these. I mean, they were so big. He's like, I don't understand how you ate or drank anything. But I didn't know any better. I figured everybody was like that, right? Oh, looking good in green. Thank you, Bruce. Welcome. Dig it. Ensign, Bruce Dalrymple. Love it. You know what? Gee, how are you? Diddy's not going to get his butt kicked where he's at. I shouldn't say that. It could happen. V. McWilliams, how are you? But I'm not putting any money on it. He's in there with a bunch of other freaks. You know, it's going to be very, very different when he gets to a regular yard because there's going to be people there that are not like him. You know what, DNV? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. He could use the prayers, and I love that. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Kim Roy. Good to see you. Yeah, it's an awful surgery to have as an adult, Gaslit. I'm telling you. And here's the thing: I've had more surgeries than Evil Knievel. You know what I mean? Like I really had a lot of surgeries, but just one of the worst, man. One of the absolute worst. And then to hurl over the top of it, I was really unhappy. You think whatever I said to her before I went out, you should have heard the stuff I was saying to her while I was dry heaving. But other than that, I've never gotten sick. So yeah, did he real quick? No, he's surrounded by a bunch of other freaks, and currently he's paying a lot of them cash, right? It's a small enough unit where everybody in there's got money from him, and I'm not being funny, right? Allegedly, there's like 9 people in the unit. It's a 20-person unit, but there's about half full. So We already know he bought phone time off of 8 people, right? It's got to be everybody in the room. He's paying somebody to make his bed. I know that that's not how they're reporting it, but that's what's happening. I promise you. You know, there are people in there and that's their hustle. And I guarantee he got in there and said, oh, hell yeah. Right. I don't want to make my bed. I don't want to do anything. I'm Diddy. Promise you he's buying it. And he's probably buying it for a hell of a lot more money than he should have. He doesn't strike me as, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I think that he's never been too worried about blowing large amounts of cash. I don't, Dan C. I don't. After the last bail hearing, do you think Diddy's going to get released? Judge seemed to be leaning that way. The judge seemed to be asking some serious questions, but I think what we were watching is this. Thank you, G. I think what we were watching was a guy being really careful. He's got to cover himself. There's going to be all kinds of appeals. They're going to be really, riding roughshod over this entire thing, right? So to cover himself so that he's not going to get torn apart on appeal, because this is going to be in every law school, for eternity. This is going to be a case that gets picked apart. I mean, big time, right? Because there's nothing that's been bigger than this. I mean, honestly, there hasn't. This is going to be a really, really big case. So I think he was trying to cover it. And the other thing is, the defense was not particularly clear. They really weren't. They're like, yeah, we're gonna hire guards. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Nowhere in there to say this is the address we want to put him at. That wasn't in there. So the questions he was asking was because they had been very vague. And he's saying, what's your package? I understand 50 million, this and that. What are you actually saying? But I'm not sure that that's going to make a ton of difference. If it would be frightening to me if they let this guy out. He has tried to circumvent all of the rules in this jail, right? At MDC Brooklyn. He's not doing anything he's supposed to be doing. Seriously. From day 2. Allegedly on the second day that he had people around him, he started breaking the rules. Started buying phone time, all of this stuff. And you get caught for it. Rosanna, Dana, good to see you. Every one of those calls is recorded, and not just at the NSA building in Utah. At MDC Brooklyn, all of that stuff is being recorded. It's also being monitored. They took pictures of the inside of that, in the inside of his unit halfway through the month of October, and they didn't roll the stuff out until now. That wasn't an accident. They're seeing what they can get away with, right? They're letting him run to the wind and bury himself. Oh yeah, no. If they let him out, forget about him. If they let him out, Giovanni's peachy. Straight as an arrow, you got nothing to worry about. He's a solid dude. When he's let out, there's nothing you're going to be able to do in any way, shape, or form that is going to make this dude safe. There isn't. He can't do it where he's at. Amy, good to see you. Is buying other people's phones credits normal? No. I mean, normal, yes. It is normal. In fact, everybody does it, right? Everybody does it. Once. It is inside the BOP. You don't get write-ups. You get what are called shots, right? That's what they call them. It's the same thing as a write-up. It's an infraction. Shots come in 4 varieties: 100 series, 200 series, 300, and 400. 400 is like having cardboard in your cell, having stuff in there you're not supposed to have. Stupid small stuff. 300 series shots are more in line with breaking of rules, and one of those absolutely is buying someone's phone time. That's a 300 series shot. Putting money on someone else's books is a 200 series shot. He had people putting money on 8 people's books or sending the cash to the street to buy their phone time. So each of those is an infraction, 8 of them. Using the phones is an infraction, right? All of those are infractions. And while it's not going to get you beat up, right? If he had already been sentenced, he'd be losing all kinds of rights They can't really take away phone or any of the stuff he's got now because he has to have that stuff in order to be able to fight his case. I agree. He'll go to Bali and he'll do it quick. I honestly do not think that there's any chance in hell that he could be trusted. Doing harm reduction on smokes by way of a stomach ulcer. Ooh, SIGs aggravated the ulcer, increasing pain. That sucks. That sucks. It really does. Sorry about that. Hey, Wharton, how cool is that? Wharton Fizzle says, got the biggest compliment from my older brother and sister that I did a wonderful job raising my kids. I'd love to hear that. That's a beautiful thing, Wharton. It really is. That is a beautiful thing. You know what, Jennifer? Whatever gets that started, right? Keep it going. Harm reduction is a good thing, man. Hey, whine a little bit more. Good to see you. What's the dumbest thing that you weren't allowed in prison? Okay, that's a great question. There's a lot of stupid things, right? There really are. There's a lot of things that just make so much sense when you think about it. I think disposable vapes would be a great idea. I'm not kidding. Just knowing what they do, knowing that it's double the dopamine in your body, right? It's dopamine times 2. I'm sorry, wouldn't be such a bad idea. Yeah, it is kind of funny, isn't it? Some of the other things. How about they'll allow you to have razors that you can shave with, right? But they will restrict which ones you can get, which is frustrating. If you're going to let me get a razor anyway, why can't I get a four-bladed razor? Like those are more dangerous somehow than the double-edged, which just suck. That's frustrating. Hooded sweatshirts, can't have them. That's frustrating. TVs in the cells, it would chill people out. Adorable Anarchy, good to see you. It would chill people out so much. It really would. You know, they're trying to babysit these people. They're not trying to rehabilitate them. They're not trying to do any of that. So why not? If you're just plugging them in their cell, right? People don't argue over computers. If you knew the number of people that have had their throats cut over television, it's frightening. Literally frightening. Hey, Megan Jeffrey, good to see you. Did I already talk about TD Jakes? I have not yet. I have not talked about TD Jakes yet. Allegedly, his wife filed for divorce. So here's the thing with TD Jakes, right? Allegedly. Oh, you know what? A pillow. I'm sorry. The dumbest thing in the world is a pillow. You can't have a pillow. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You can't have a pillow. Pillow. Toilet seat, also high on the list. What the hell damage am I going to do with a toilet seat? Right? Would a toilet seat be that out of line? I don't know. I think that would be really civilized. Honestly, the last prison yard I was at had them. It is a completely different world with a toilet seat. He had a heart attack during his show today. Stop it. Wow. Now, here's the thing, though. Do you think it's legit? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Perhaps he creates miracles by laying hands on people. I'm struggling to believe that. However, that's kind of the shtick of his entire show. So I hope that's not the truth, man. But if it is, I'd be afraid that he'd be drugged, honestly. Hearing the names dug up in this case makes me think we're stuck in 1999. Funny, huh? No joke. That's a really funny observation, Barlock. Right? What the hell happened? Did we just got shoved back in time? Other than financial, the reasoning behind using food as an additional punishment. They don't technically, legally, they're not supposed to do that. And what they say is they get around it by saying, we're not taking away, we're not restricting what somebody can eat. We're restricting what you can buy at store. Or we did almost a month without a hot meal. but it was after somebody got attacked, right? It was after somebody got attacked. A cop got attacked. So they were not going to, they said it was for emergency reasons. There's not supposed to go more than 9 meals without getting a hot meal. That's a law, except under extreme circumstances. The hell does extreme circumstances mean? Who determines that, right? Who determines that? Kim, how are you? Hey, Miss Dragon, there you are. What's happening, sister? Nicole, good to see you. Rena, Josh Cohen, good to see you, man. Yeah, I think that I'm going to have to look into the TD Jakes thing. That freaks me right out. It really does. If he really went out, and I'm not saying that you didn't see that. I believe you did, but I don't know that I believe a lot of what that cat does or says. I did miss Lisa Trimble, didn't I? Yeah. I can't understand how did he got into General Pop? No, he's not in General Pop. Yeah, he's not in General Pop. Right? They say he's in GP, and it's just because they don't know what that phrase means. Okay? Honestly. F Scientology, good to see you. Here's what really happens. Because he's not in solitary confinement, because he's not on a 23-1 schedule in there, they're saying he's on general population. General population literally means he can go to any one of the units in the facility. They can send him wherever, and it's good to go. He is in the only unit he can be in that facility. He is in an ultra protective custody unit on West Block, West Yard, something like that. The metal grates in the floor that he can look through and see the nude women below him. We explain something to you. There's never been nowhere in the feds do they give you an opportunity to pour boiling water on the people below you or defecate, right? Urinate. There's no way they're putting a hole in the floor. So it would be a very bad idea. And I assure you, it's not happening. It sounds good. Now, they absolutely can talk to the ladies below them, right? Through the toilet, or the ladies above them. And that happens a lot. Because when you don't get to talk to anyone ever, then you don't get to talk to women when you have an opportunity. You're going to do it one way or the other. God forbid that Diddy gets out. Would he be in danger from any of his celebrity friends he has dirt on? You know what? It's a legitimate concern, but the deal is they're going to have armed guards. Allegedly, he would have armed guards keeping him in. Well, it would be doing a pretty good job of keeping other people out, right? Unless he decides to drop $5 or $10 million to murk somebody because he's got that kind of cash, right? He can throw it around. And if you were him, now obviously you couldn't be him, right? Because he's a lowlife. Let's say hypothetically, we were playing the Diddy game, right? Because you would never want to be Diddy. But if you had to spend your fortune to go on the run, if you had to blow all of it, I don't think he's going to win this case. I don't think he has a chance of winning this case. And I hate to say this, but I think it's already decided, right? It's a very unusual time, isn't it? You got the guy from Abercrombie and Fitch, right? And they're way different. They're way different from one another. I promise you they are. There's more different than there is similar. Wait a second. Who was on a Grant Cardone training? I'm sorry, I always get a kick out of Grant Cardone trainings. Can Diddy buy a lighter sentence, says Elizabeth Grimby. Elizabeth, he can't. Honestly, he's spending money right now with that hopes, right? The only hope he has of getting a lesser sentence has nothing to do with money. The only way he could get a lesser sentence is if he were to provide substantial assistance to the federal government in the prosecution of someone else in something, right? Usually it's in prosecuting someone else. But he would have to give him really serious assistance, like handing over somebody above him, right? Handing over one of those big executives that's been picking up the bills for these parties, people that were well aware, hey, Linsanity, people that were well aware of the fact that he was doing these freak off things and weren't doing jack squat to stop it. Feel me? Those kind of people he could turn in and probably get a lighter sentence. Question is, will he? You know, I think he's too much of an egomaniac. You know what happens a lot to idiots? I promise you. There's a lot of people in the BOP that they're gonna go solid. They're not gonna cut a deal. They're not gonna do any of that. And then when they get that sentence, and the judge comes back and goes, 55 years, they start going, wait a sec. There's a lot of people that I could help you out with, right? There's a lot of folks I know that are doing bad stuff, and they go, I don't care. You had your shot, right? Miss Dragon, well, good luck on that. You'll have to keep us up to date on the plastic surgeon tomorrow to see if you will end up with natural or fake. I love that. You know what? Got a great sense of humor through everything. I love that. What about the guy who claimed to be a healer? He got caught. Yeah, right. When people were to get in line into the place, they had him fill out a card, obviously identifying info. Yeah, and then you could hear the crap. It ended up coming over the speaker, and you could hear somebody kind of whispering into his ear. That's one of the greatest clips of film ever. Justine. No, I don't think the guy did any time either. I don't think the guy did any time. Yeah, exactly, James. He could never be a pedo and be put into general population. People who touch kids, if you put them in general population, someone will carve on them like a turkey, and they'll do it the very first day they get there. Honestly, that is really hated stuff. All right, we're getting there. New Orleans. Yeah, okay, Cajun Queen. By the way, love your city. From New Orleans, did you hear TD Jakes has been rushed to the hospital? We were just talking about that. I had not heard it. One of my faithful crew members brought it up. How many pair of glasses do I own? Says Nicole. About 12. But I've narrowed them down to 2 because Quibs is a fan of a couple of these, and I don't have any taste. I really don't. So it was narrowed down to the ones that look better, I guess. What am I most grateful for today? You know what? Freedom it's wasted on people that don't appreciate the it's a fairly amazing freedom in general, honestly. Walking outside when it's raining, right? All of the little things that you take for granted. It starts raining, they lock you in. And you look outside and you think, you know what, how good that would feel on your face. Right? Any of that stuff. Getting up in the middle of the night, right? Needing to use the restroom and going, I think I'll stop by the refrigerator, right? These are things we completely take for granted, right? Doesn't happen inside. You might have a little styrofoam cooler, right? With some ice in it. It's a completely different world, and it's very easy to just take it for granted. Yeah, and furry things, and the people in my life that I love. You know what I mean? There are people in my life that care about me that in ways that I never ever thought would have been possible, especially with my past. So it's in and all of you guys. I mean, it really is a pretty heavy thing, and I am absolutely stoked about that. That's a very big deal. You were in JD Delays live. Do I know anything about on the Avenger? I do not. And for the mods, thank you always. And I do love that we got the greatest mods. We really do. We got the best mods. I think I would honestly like to see. I'd like to see TD Jakes prosecuted. I think there's plenty of reason to. There's a guy who allegedly says that he was assaulted by him, and I think that that's one of more that we may see. My opinion, but I think we're going to see a lot more because I think that people that do that don't stop doing that. It's my humble opinion. I think people that do that don't stop doing that. It just makes sense. Tommy, you had said before you did time in the same prison as Freeway Ricky. Would you like to have a Q&A with him on Atwood? Oh, man, would I? Absolutely, I would. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, he did time at FCI Phoenix, right up the street. Well, it's way up the street, but it is up the street. Yeah, we if they don't, we need to, right? If they're not going to do it, then we need to, because I think if they had this on the line in 2013, then we need to know why it stopped, right? We need to know why it stopped. Someone has to hold these kind of things accountable, because if we don't, they may not. Hey, Quibsy, good to see you, babe. Do I think Diddy may have had something to do with Biggie's death? Absolutely. Absolutely, I think he had something to do with Biggie's death. I think that I think he believed that that Biggie was worth more dead than alive. I think that was what Diddy thought, and he everything that I don't. And this is a personal opinion, right? But you hear people talk about the Diddy curse, right? I don't think it's a Diddy curse. I think Diddy has people bumped off, right? I think the guy's a serial bad businessman, right? Don't do business with this dude. There's an excellent chance you're going to get whacked. I love this. I love this. I joined a woman's recovery group, and we do 10 minutes of sunshine, 30 minutes of movement, gratitude, pray and meditate, and talk to someone different each day. And this is helping my sobriety immensely. You're damn right it is. Yeah, the opposite of addiction is connection. You're talking about a crap load of connection. I love that. I love that, man. I really do. Yeah, you know something? I was thoroughly freaked out. I was thoroughly freaked out by when I got to Lewisburg. I was terrified. No joke. And I mean, I've been scared in prisons before. I'm not one of those dudes who's, I was scared crapless many times. But pulling up to Lewisburg, it sucked the air out of my lungs. Tony Shooter. Hey, Duchess Diana. It literally sucked the air out of my lungs. I thought, this is it, man. Like, this is the scariest looking place I've ever seen. That it's not like any other place, man. Right? Yeah, it's sus, right? Look at this. Right? This right here. That was enough to get me put away forever, right? That would have been enough for me to never get out. Straight up. You know what? Every once in a while, if you can't keep up, I'll just hook you up. How's that? Happy Phantom has said hello to all of you, right? It's been handled. There you go. Happy Phantom. I got your back. Yeah, that would have been enough to get me incarcerated forever. Craziest thing that I saw or experienced in prison. Well, here's a good one. I was working in the kitchen, and I used to order all of the food, right? And right next to my office was the staff cab, right? My office was really like 2 desks and a filing cabinet in a long hallway between the staff, where the staff eats. So there's a little kitchen there, and then the other big kitchen. And I got to eat really good food, all the stuff that the cops were eating, right? Because I would order all of it. So one day there was a guy in there that had been airbrushing the wall, and they don't pay these guys, right? They're volunteers. So they said, we'll pay you in food. Big black dude. And he says, hey, let me get another one of those chicken patties. And a smaller black dude got in his face and went, no, man, you already had 2 of them. And the guy's name was JB. We'll call him JB. And I said, JB, look, it's a 7-cent patty of chicken, bro. I'll go get another one. We'll throw them into the deep fryer. Don't trip, right? We got this. And on. Good to see you. And he goes, no, man. No, he's not getting this. Shimmy doing a wobby. Good to see you. He's like, no, man, he's not getting this. He's been taking advantage of us here. I'm like, it's not even your food, bro. He's not taking advantage of you. Jack squat. Right? Let it go. Grammy, good to see you. Instead of going that route, he kept getting in his face. And he was very well known for putting his nose in places that it didn't belong. In fact, the first time I saw him, somebody said to me, don't talk to that guy about anything, meaning he's a rat. He goes, and he's always sticking his nose where it doesn't belong. So as he's sitting there sticking his nose where it doesn't belong, this guy grabs him like this on the side of his, like he's getting ready to kiss him. I mean, that's exactly what it looked like. And JB's trying to back up, like crab walk away from it. He goes in like this and snip this baby off. I'm not kidding. Diesel Therapy. You'll see the name in here. Diesel Therapy. I was in the joint with him when this happened. He's the guy I did time with. But snips off the guy's snout and proceeds to go, phew, and it went right under my desk. If this story couldn't get any weirder, right? Drew Peterson picked it up in tissue and then walked it over to JB and said, hey, man, so that they can reattach this, which they cannot do, by the way. You cannot reattach a schnoz. There's not enough blood going there because it's just capillaries. So they told him the first night, that nose is gone. So they had to build him one, right? They had to build him a nose, which they did primarily off of his backside, right? The old, right? In the buttocks. So they grabbed a little buttocks. This is so funny. I'm sorry, it really is. So they built this nose, right? And it came down like this. And they got the nostrils, all that. It looks, for all intents and purposes, it looks perfect. However, he's got hair, right? That grows right here underneath his nose at all times. Like it grows fast and it grows thick. It obviously, wherever they took it from, had a lot of hair growing, but it's now right here. And I know they could have clipped that, man. I know they could have clipped that off. I know they could have. But we called him Rudolph the Black-Nosed Reindeer. That was, what else did we call him? Oh, the reason being that part of his body was considerably darker than his face was. Just was. So he was sort of light-skinned, but he had a very, very dark nose. Oh, that's a very nice thing to say, DNV. I appreciate that. Says, Tommy, the best thing about you is you're not afraid to make yourself the best version of yourself. Well, I started out really bad, right? So I had a lot to work with. I had a lot but thank you. I really appreciate that. So this gets funnier, right? Yeah, ass face, that one that got said a lot. That was another one, Kit Kat. But I come back. When the whole place gets locked down, when you hear the alarm go off, everybody gets locked down. Now I'm in the very back of the kitchen. I'm right where this happened, right? So, and the guy that bit the nose off comes out. I'm not kidding, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry for spitting that under your desk." He's like, "I wasn't trying to be disrespectful or anything like that." I went, "No, you're good, man. No, you're good. No problem, man." He's like, "Seriously, that was really disrespectful. I didn't mean that." I went, No, you're good. You're good." But so everybody's already locked down, right? And I go back to my unit, and Diesel Therapy, the guy that calls himself Diesel Therapy, was in the cell next to me, right? But there's a lot of concrete between us. But he was the next cell down. So when I got to the top of the stairs and I'm waiting to go in, he runs over to the window and he knocks on it. He goes, "Are they lying?" I said, "I don't know. What did they say?" He said JB got his nose bit off. I go, "No, that happened." He goes, "You're telling me the truth?" I said, "He stuck his nose where it didn't belong again." And he just starts laughing. He goes, "There's no way that happened. There's no way that happened." I said, "It did." Honestly, sounds bad. I did have a good, positive relationship with a CO while in prison and with a deputy. And the difference is that a deputy, this was the county jail before I went to prison. And I was sitting there one day and I was writing and taking down notes and putting down the early plans for what was going to become the lifeboat. I'm not even kidding. And the guy comes over and goes, "What are you writing?" And I start talking about all of the, drugs that are on the street and this and that. And he goes, "Well," I said, my first thought was I was going to teach parents what to look for. And he goes, "Don't you think it would be pretty obvious parents know what to look for?" And I go, "Well, maybe, but not, you're a cop. Not everybody is probably as well-versed as you." No skin off my nose. And he did apologize for spitting it under my desk, which I thought was very, very kind, right? Very, very kind. Hold on. You know what? I have no idea what I was saying. I lost my train of thought. I love this chat too. Somebody tell me what I was talking about. Sorry, I'm half, Latoya, good to see you. Green, how are you? Yes, he could kiss his own hiney, and he had this little, it was almost like, it never stopped growing. And it would be like if you had hair growing not on your upper lip, but on the little septum, right? The little thing between your nose right here. Deputy, thank you. Well done. Well done. So I started talking to the deputy, and I said, no, but the stuff that's less obvious, like if you have light bulbs that disappear, right? And he's like, what's up with light bulbs? And I go, well, people smoke meth out of them, if you don't have a pipe. Anyway, this filter, there you go. Thanks, Johnny. We get into a conversation, and he goes, my kid's not doing meth. I go, I didn't say your kid was doing meth. I said, sometimes if light bulbs disappear, but I wasn't. And he really kind of got to be a dick about it. And I was like, man, I didn't say anything about your kid. He locked me down. And then he came in a couple of days later and said, I found dope in his house. In his room. He went in and started looking through all of this stuff. And yeah. His kid was on dope. And I ended up spending a lot of time talking to this guy about his kid and how to, and he wrote me a really beautiful letter about 2 years into prison telling me how his kid was doing. That was kind of cool. And once while I was doing time, I saved a dude's life legitimately. Like the guy split his wig open really bad. And I went in and kind of jabbed my hand into it. And I got kicked out of prison early for it. I really did. They let me off a state sentence considerably earlier than I should have been on account of, right, me saving this guy. And they had mailed a letter over saying that the cop that saved him should get meritorious credit, which is money. They give him, it's like $4,000 or something if you save an inmate. And this cop said, I didn't do it. That inmate did it. No joke, man. Like I would have never known, right? We wouldn't hear any of this. I would have never known. And this dude said, no, I didn't do that. I wouldn't have gone in there and put my hand in that, man. It was an inmate. Told them what's up, and it's a wrap. I got kicked out. And that's pretty solid, man. That was a very, very solid, it's a very solid cop. Not all of them were. There were some really bad ones, but there were some really good ones. Any idea why my light bulbs might be disappearing? Yeah. Sorry, that's not a good one. Yeah, prayers for your stepdad, for real. I appreciate that, people. I appreciate that. Hey, Latoya, how are you? You know what? Where did I saw you in someone else's chat, Latoya, but I don't remember where now. I remember thinking to myself, I know that name from somewhere. How long does it take before I can go back as an ex-felon, like for a group or education? That is completely up to the Bureau of Prisons. In theory, they could allow me to do it right now. I can visit an inmate right now. I am a no BS upstanding member of society whose debt has been paid. At this point, I do not. I'm not on paper. There's nothing. I got no tail. This is completely good for me. I can do whatever I want. But they still would have to. They still would have to approve me, and I would have a harder time than a lot of other people. And the reason for that is my particular drug of choice and the number of times that I got busted for doing my my drug of choice inside. Like I would fail a drug test and then go do dope. I fail another drug test and go do dope. I couldn't quit, so I just never stopped. And I think they'd be pretty freaked out. Light bulbs disappear because if you chisel out the bottom of them, you can drop meth in it. And using a lighter, it's just a very easy way. A lot of times people under the age of 18 can't get into the places where you could buy the kind of equipment to smoke the stuff, like an oil burner kind of a thing. So they use light bulbs. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. I really do. B. Gray says, Diddy's teams keep bringing up the Abercrombie and Fitch guy getting bail. My opinion on the comparison of that. Thanks. Sure. Here's the thing with that. Let's start with the painfully obvious, right? One of these guys is 80. One of these guys is in his 50s. Now, neither of them are young men. Thank you, Kit Kat. Neither of them are young men, right? But to be sure. Yet, the Abercrombie and Fitch guy is considerably older. Now, we know, we happen to know that Diddy was engaged in freak-offs in July. Allegedly. July of 2024. Right before they hemmed him up. 2 months before he got hemmed up, he was doing this, right? And although the crimes go back decades, they also went up until recently. The guy from Abercrombie and Fitch had not done any of this stuff, allegedly, since 2015. Took a very long time for them to put this together. But 2015. So that has a lot to do with what's going on. You know what I'm saying? The other thing, Diddy had heavy artillery, right? He had a bunch of choppers, sweepers, like alphabet guns, ARs, AKs, like those kind of things. He had 7 of them, 3 of them with obliterated serial numbers. That is very uncool in the eyes of the courts. He also has a very nice video that we've all seen that's horrific, right? It's the worst thing you could have in terms of evidence. It's somebody kicking, right? It's Diddy kicking his girlfriend of then, 10 years? I mean, beating the hell out of her as she tries to escape from one of these freak-offs. Yeah. So there's a lot of violence there, right? And he has already started to flout the rules, right, that they've put in place for him. You know, they've already started to he's demonstrated he can't follow the rules in a prison. Why the hell would we let him try it at the house? So those are the biggest differences, right? Much less of a flight risk, I think. You know, he's a very old man. 10 million on an ankle monitor, and he's not done anything wrong up to this point. Are there rules inside for saving COs from dying? It's considered bad form. If you really want to know the truth, that you can get yourself into serious trouble for doing something as honorable as saving the life of an officer. It will not make you popular with the fellas. They will transfer you immediately. Immediately. I mean, right? You'll be on the next train smoking to a different prison because the fellas they're not gonna forgive you for that. As far as they're concerned, you should never interfere with somebody that's fighting staff. And I'm not saying that I respect that, but it is the way it is. Did I ever try boofing? I did not. I'm sure it was a thing then, right? But I had my preferred method of getting stuff into my body was in my veins. So it would have really been a step down. His bail hearing tomorrow. You can continue to appeal your bail hearing as many times as you want. That's the truth. However, you're supposed to come up with new evidence. There has to be, or a new situation, right? So let's say I appeal it because they took the death penalty off the table. Like if I had a death sentence or death penalty case, they're not going to let me out on bail. There's no chance. They don't let people out on bail who are facing a death penalty. So if that got taken off the table, that might be a reason to put you back in and at least hear it again. They're probably not going to give it to you, but that's the idea. Something changed dramatically. Now we go back to court. If you just keep asking to go back to court, the judge is going to get salty as hell, I promise. They'll lose their sense of humor about this. So I kind of think that we're probably seeing close to the last of it. Oh, that's right. You guys did the Zoom call today. I've done those. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. If you've never done it, it's pretty great. What percent do you think a victim will off Diddy? You know something? This is not so. No, I've booted it. I haven't boofed it. Booting it is boot and smack is using a needle. Boofing it is putting it in your backside in your prison locker. They take a syringe and snap the needle off of it, and then they insert it into you know where and just squeeze it. That's an interesting question, Rick, and I think it's a possibility, man. I think it's a possibility. There are a lot of people that are really, really angry, man. Really angry. It could happen. What are the odds of him getting out on bail? If I had to give odds, I'd say 10%. 10%? Maybe 15%. I just, you realize the how much Subramanian would be putting his butt on the line? He would be the third judge, right? The third judge. First two say, no way, man. He's a danger to society. If you say, no, he's not. I think he's not a danger, and we can set this up so that it's not bad, right? What if he doesn't? If he does something and hurts somebody or whatever, it is the end of his career. It would ruin Subramanian. Ruin him. I don't think he's going to take that chance. I might be wrong, and if he is, we'll be doing videos on it. I promise. I heard a couple of content creators. By the way, none of them at Atwood, none of them at the Atwood channel, but a content creator who said to me, "Boy, it would be really good for business if they let him out on bail." And I said, "Oh man, when you start thinking that way, this is getting bad." You know what I'm saying? Honestly, it's a little rugged. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I heard that. And that person is going to go to a maximum security yard in the Bureau of Prisons. Going to go to a maximum security yard in the Bureau of Prisons, which is not a place you'd want to go with that. Yeah, no, I've learned to take some tough stuff in there. Since it's a RICO case, when are we going to hear the other names as co-conspirators? It's an excellent question. And I think we're going to, it could go one of a couple of ways. I think that we're going to see a lot of people that are testifying, right, against Diddy. And they are going to be co-conspirators. And I think that we'll probably right before the trial hear that. I think that's a really good chance that they're going to say before the trial that here are some other people, because I know that they're flipping people right now. I know that they're going down. Look, there's no way in hell. KK, how could KK not be charged? How could KK not be charged? There's a decent chance I will be live tomorrow during the bail hearing. Yes. Yes, look for me tomorrow during the bail hearing. Look for me tomorrow during the bail hearing. Should be live. Realistically, what drugs would be available to Diddy? He would have been using every day, right? What drugs are available to him inside? Anything he wants. At MDC Brooklyn, you could get anything you want. I promise. From weed to white to black to anything. I do like candy corn. I'm guilty. I eat a lot of them. Yeah, I hooped stuff in prison. Anything that I didn't want them to take. If a lockdown was coming and you wanted to keep it, that's where it went. It's just one of those things. Yeah, if you want to keep it, that's the only place you can put it that they're not going to take it. It's just that simple. And I don't know anybody that did time that hasn't, unless they didn't break any rules. But most people break a couple of rules at some point. You know what? They haven't told us what time it is tomorrow because it's one of those, they're supposed to put the letters in by a certain time, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be difficult to tell what time, Latoya. But be looking, because I will have it up quickly. You know what? Interesting. Kim says, I think Gene Deal should be charged as well. How could you work for him and not know what was going on? I call BS. Yes, they do drug tests. I know where you're coming from on this, right? I know where you're coming from on this, and I kind of feel the thought process, right? But when you start to deep dive it, the early days of Diddy, right? When he was Sean Puffy Combs, right? When he was Sean Puffy Combs, it was a very different kind of a human being. I'm not saying he wasn't a dirtbag. I'm not saying he wasn't assaulting people. What I'm saying is there was a lot less of that going on. I do believe that it's an issue, right? That if there were kids or any of that stuff, but he knew about Usher, obviously, right? What's the difference between Bren smoking? I don't know what Bren smoking is. Don't have any idea what that means. Gene said he didn't work parties as well. Yep, I've heard him say that. I'll tell you something. You do know what Gene Deal did for a living other than working for Diddy, right? He was an officer, right? He was a CO for all intents and purposes, except he worked in the probation department. He was a parole officer. He worked in parole and probation. That's a guy that I don't think I think they went out of their way to make sure that Gene wasn't privy to a lot of dirt, right? For real. Because you got to hire people sometimes that used to be cops or are cops, because those are the kind of people who can legally carry a piece and guard you. And I think that for the most part, if those people have an active job, they get a little freaked out. I don't mean, blowing some weed and stuff like that, but I don't see them dumping out huge sacks of white on tables in front of them. I could be wrong, but I don't get that vibe. I could be wrong. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. I really do. I made it home with my new book, Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It. I like that, by Rebecca Campbell. Looking forward to reading today now. I love that. I really do. I just ordered a book. Today. You know what? I agree with you, Kim. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I've said this before. I've said that I like Gene Deal. I like him a lot. However, I worry about him. He was around a lot. And I'm not pulling for anything to happen to Gene Deal. I like the guy, but I do think I was doing my job doesn't work, right? Didn't work at Nuremberg. It doesn't work here, If what your job is messed up, I got to shave this goatee. It's driving me nuts. Clive Davis is dead now, sir. Well, Clive Davis is acting as if he's dead, did he really pass? That would be really odd, especially on the, but it wouldn't surprise me, right? Quincy's gone. It wouldn't surprise me, man. I love Ayn Rand, Shelley Kelly. I love Ayn Rand. You can't go wrong. I'm a fan anyway. Not everybody is, but I'm a fan. Kristen Melinda, this is I can't tell you which book I ordered because it's a Christmas gift for somebody. Know what I mean? So I don't know that anybody has ever alleged that Keanu Reeves was anywhere near any of this. I think you're probably going to be safe on that one. But it was Quincy. Yeah, Quincy Jones's. But I don't think it's going to be. We're gonna see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more people start to pass away. Sorry, but for real, have I read any Agatha Christie? I think I've probably read all Agatha Christie. I read a lot of Agatha Christie in prison. Loved it. Earmuffs. You don't have to celebrate it. I throw these jokes out. TD Jakes had a spell today also. Think old guys are freaking. Yeah, right? TD Jakes definitely has got some stuff to freak about, man. He's got some stuff to freak about. No, he did not ever visit me when I was in prison, and I don't know that I could have handled it, to be really honest with you. I don't know at all if I would have been able to handle it. I think that would have been a very, very difficult time for me. And it would have been hard for him. I know that sounds messed up, but I'm really glad he didn't. Hey, Tommy, I heard Jaguar earlier that Mr. Pizza got pneumonia. Know anything about or any salt to it? I don't know. I had not heard that. So, Sharona, I agree. I'm going to have to look into that because that's crazy. Great question. And here's the answer, Bill, because I don't know that I have the answer. So here are the two options the way I see. The first option is we're going to be talking about this part of the Me Too movement, so to speak, right? It's going to be like Me Too, the second chapter. Like Me Too seems to almost be forgotten. Now it's touching hip hop. I hope that when this is over, it's over. I hope that this takes the casting couch and sets it on fire. You know what I'm saying? Tiffy Tiff. Wow, look at you. It's been a hot minute, Tiffy Tiff. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's always nice when people can catch lives you haven't seen in a while. As someone who put stuff in your veins, how did you deal with or avoid the known issues with that method, hepatitis, etc.? Well, what makes you think I did? No, honestly, I didn't share needles with anybody ever. Not once, ever. I saw somebody once take one of mine that I had used and then use it, but which really bummed me out. It caused a real scene, but I never once used a rig after somebody else. They're not expensive. And to me, it was the most important thing to have. But I had hepatitis C. I got it. I got it from somebody bleeding into my eyes when I saved the guy's life. I got covered, but I got it. And then, believe it or not, I spontaneously healed. True story. And when they told me that inside, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. Yeah, if you don't want to treat me, you don't have to treat me, but don't BS me either. You know what I mean? But when I got out onto the street and I got myself tested, the guy said, well, it shows that you had it. So did you get Harvoni or one of those? I said, I got no treatment. And he said, oh, then you spontaneously healed. I said, that happens? And he said, yeah, about 1 out of every 500,000 people it will happen to. And he said, and you have the genome for it. You have the genome for it because there are like 5 different genomes. Yeah, Kit Kat. Wow, what a great comment. What a great comment. Yes, I did say that. I said that, but I'm not going to be able to. Think of the talent turned away because they stood up for their morals, right? Honestly, tell me that's not. I think that's a great comment, by the way, Kit Kat, for real. But that should plague us. That should be one of those things that, no joke, plagues us. Yeah, it's okay, it could have been TD Jakes who got sick and was play on words that Jaguars live when he said it got. Okay, there you go. It could have been TD Jakes, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, right? I think he'd be really happy too. I'm a bit of a. I think once I got out of prison really makes you trip out about germs. I promise you, because you got to protect yourself. Everything in there is radioactive. Everything. One day, I hope the public will get 24/7 live feeds from the prison cells of prominent people, so nothing is covered up. Wow, drugs, etc. It's the only way to be sure they aren't given special privileges. You know something? I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. I really don't. I don't think that's a bad idea. Minimum, I think he's going to get 35. Minimum. But he's probably going to get a lot more than that. Interferon was awful, Bruce. The original treatments, interferon was awful. I know a lot of guys that tapped out on it. Do 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 do. Yeah, you don't want to touch anything in there. I promise you. So I spent a lot of time. I would buy heavy duty cleaners, right? Um, I would get all kinds of heavy duty cleaners and spray everything down and wipe it and do all of that, and then hit it with some smell good stuff. I was pretty into my cell not stinking. Like that was a pretty big deal to me. You've never been handcuffed, and it would, yeah, you know something. I think a lot of people feel this way, Tiffy Tiff. A lot of, and God bless you for never being handcuffed. I try to keep it that way, honestly. The nurse who loved me says I wash my hands about 40 times a day. Boy, you'd be doing it in there. I'll tell you what, you would be washing your hair. Latoya, I did hear that call. I don't know whether or not it's just been, I'll tell you something, people. I'm not going to make any friends. I promise you, I'm not going to make any friends. But I'm going to be putting together a greatest hits tape of some of the things that have been alleged. And I'm not saying they're not true. DP in Tennessee, how are you? But I want you guys to take a look at some of these things and tell me what you think. And I'm hoping that we can all be friends through it. Gee, I spent at one time in the SMU, I was with my cellmate at the time, and we tried to figure out how many times every single person in the special management unit gets handcuffed a year, because you go to rec 5 days a week and you get handcuffed on the way there and on the way back. And then when you go to the showers, you get handcuffed on the way there and on the way back, and you do that 3 days a week. I don't remember what it came to, but it was like 700 or 800 times, and you get 2 sets of handcuffs. They put on one set and then another set over the top of it, so you can't slip the first set. What a pain in the butt. Everybody gets a cellie, Nicole. Everybody gets a cellie. If you do enough bad stuff, they will put you on solitary confinement, but you always start out with a cellmate. Always. Yes, Robert Hall. And I want to tell you something. This is one of the coolest things that you can do. I mean, one of the coolest things that you can do. If you got books that you're not using or whatever, it is such a cool idea to donate it to a prison. The way that the libraries grow, right, is because the inmates will order books, and you're only allowed to have about 5. So let's say you bought 25 or 30 while you were there. When you're going to get shipped, you leave 25 behind, and they'll go to the library, and that kind of stuff, is what builds it. But when people donate it, it's awesome. It's awesome. Oh, yeah. Shackled. The shackles are not inside the SMU. The only time you wear shackles is if you're leaving the facility. So no shackles then. But yes, Ellen DeGenerate has left the building. Hey, Amber, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you. Has Ellen really left the U.S.? She has. She's gone to England. So our friends over there, I'm sorry, but she's coming your way. I can't remember the name of it now. Coxwold, I believe, is where she moved. She bought that because of Trump was elected to president. She bought it way before he was elected, but she still said that's why. She was doing that Karnak thing. She knew it was coming. Ellen is connected. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. It's my opinion. But I think she's connected. What job did I do in prison? Well, I ran a sports book. I ran a poker table. It was usually gambling related. Do you mean straight jobs in prison? I worked at a factory called Unicor, where we made uniforms for the military. I did that. That's with Q. That's where we worked. The other thing, I ordered all of the crap in for the kitchen. I was the guy that did all of the ordering for the stuff that you eat. But I think I did almost everything except CMS. They would never let me work at CMS for some reason. Wow. I'll be damned. I will be damned. Miklos, I'm glad you're here. Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, it's that was one of the as far as prison films go, when prison films come on in prison, people don't watch. They really don't. It's usually depressing. When Shawshank Redemption comes on, they watch it every single time it comes on. In fact, usually it'll be on 3 or 4 televisions. Like everybody's super, super into that. Yeah, well, you know something, Gail? I think I would not. I wouldn't give up hope on her coming your way. I would not give up hope of Ellen maybe coming your way. As you know, yeah, Portia isn't Portia de Rossi. Yeah, she's from there. And as you know, Portia and I we were tight. We were really close. We really weren't. I can't back that up. But it's one of those funny things. You know something? The Nurse Who Loved Me. This is kind of odd. The Jericho Mile. Absolutely, I saw the Jericho Mile. I saw the Jericho Mile in prison. They showed it to a bunch of inmates, and I saw it. Your mom cared for a blind lady named Alice when I was a kid. This lady was incredible. She knew who was walking toward her by the sound of their footsteps. Blew my mind as a kid. I want to tell you something. My cellmate at the SMU had been there for 7 years. No joke. 7 years. So, and he had been on the same floor the entire time. And we'd be laying there and I'd hear keys and I'd go, oh man, cops are coming, right? Because we'd be doing something wrong. He'd go, no, they're going to the 3rd floor. And I'd be like, dude, no. He'd go, yeah, they're going to the 3rd floor. He never made a mistake. And he could do the same thing. He would tell you what cop was coming down the tier by how their chains and their keys rattled. No joke, man. It was crazy. I was wildly impressed by that always. You think you guys would make her life a trifle uncomfortable? I love that. I love that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Jennifer Aniston. I completely forgot. I completely forgot. I can't remember whether she was before or after Portia de Rossi, but let's just say I got around. It's a bit embarrassing. Kathy, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Yeah, it really is. It always bothered me because I never figured it out. I mean, I was there a year and a half, and I could never go, oh, that's so and so. And we had one cop. I won't put him on blast because he's probably still working, but he didn't care what you did. If we had a fire going in the cell, he never said anything. He just didn't care. And when he was on, you could just kind of. It was a lot easier to live when he was on. And I remember my cellmate. He'd go, oh man, that's him, right? And I'd go, no, it's not. No, it's him. I go, he worked 3 days in a row. There's no way it's him because they work 12-hour days. He's like, no, it's him. I can tell just by the jingling of the chains. Blows my mind. And Hummingbird, good to see you. All right, people. That brings us to about the documentary Escaping Alcatraz. I find it fascinating. And I've done a lot of really deep dives on that. And those brothers got out. They got out. The brothers got out. They got out. They escaped. They went to South America, and they died free men. I think that's friggin' awesome. I'm sorry, I really do. Dee Dee Razzle Dazzle. This is a hard one, and I don't want people to. Thank you, Kim. I don't want people to deep dive this without a warning. If you look up how Anne Hesh died, you're going to see a clip of film of her sitting up out of the body bag as they were putting her into the back of an ambulance. It is a terrifying piece of film. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it is a terrifying piece of film. It would be something happened. Something happened. It was very, very uncomfortable to watch. I would like to believe that there was nothing nefarious that that happened in that, but it's really, really hard to not think something was up. I'll promise you, there's absolutely no way that you. Again, you're warned, right? But I would go look at it because she looked very much alive to me. She did, and maybe she passed later on, but it's pretty awful, really, really awful. Yeah, Donnie Brasco, that's right. Didn't she play Donnie Brasco's wife? Steve Hula says, I saw in hash scary scene, right? It was absolutely a scary scene. Sharona said, I saw it live. Oh, no way. No way. I don't think that was an option. I was pretty sure I was incarcerated when that happened. But it was very strange. Doesn't mean that she couldn't have, passed considerably, But yeah, Barbara, you've been warned, right? This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. And you know what else I'm going to do one of these days? I promise, because I'm getting a lot of emails on it. The how you do the deep dives, like what procedure? How do I do it? I will do a show on that because there are some tricks that took me a long time to learn that make it a whole lot easier. All right, people, I got to go and do that Christmas thing. It's Christmas, All right. Yeah, a lot of channels were overhead on that. Correct. There were so many cameras. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. So, did I stir you? Sorry. I am the Admiral, folks, and this right here, this is a cat in a basket. What do you say, Squirrel? Got the paw up there. She's a good kitty. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Good night.